to go ahead and just go over some things. Like my last video, I did go off a little bit on Frederick Piercy, and I thought that he was an artist that drew Joseph Smith from life. And he did not, but I'm going to show you why I really thought that he did. And my theories, are just theories here. But I'm just going to point out, so this is Joseph right here. And so this is an engraving by Frederick Piercy, who traveled to Utah, but he's from England, and then he just went back to England. He stayed in the church. He just didn't want to stay in Utah. I don't know why. But I just found it so interesting that you could see this pop-down collar and this very dark, you can see how it's like a scarf wrapped around, and then it's this dark, like black bow tie. And I was talking to a guy, and he's just like, yeah, it's just like fluffy and just kind of comes around his ear. And it does look a little more fluffy on this side. And I mean, someone could say, well, we must have seen Maudsley's work, but it's interesting how he made it different in ways that just really match. And so if you're looking at my picture, you can see that the upper part of the lapel is a little bit darker, and he sort of includes that right there. And so I'm just seeing some things that are very unique, whereas Maudsley's mostly drawing of the popped up color. And so the whole story with, okay, so this is route from Liverpool to Great Salt Lake Valley. And so this is very early 1850s. I believe when I last calculated it, I mean, I'd have to zigzag around here, but I think, anyway, so he did stop on his way to Salt Lake City in Nauvoo. And so he did do this drawing of Joseph Smith, which you can't really see, but you can get all these books for free online, which I think is really cool. But he bonded, and he did a drawing of Lucy Mack Smith. And you got David Hiram, and he talks about David Hiram in here, and I could just find it, but here's Joseph Smith III. So he's, wow, quite an age. I mean, I knew they're almost 10 years apart, so I guess it makes sense. He's like 8, born in 1844, 1832, 12 years apart. So yeah, he's 12 years older, his oldest son. And then David Hiram became an artist, and he talks about just bonding with Emma and her children. Talking about David Hiram, the youngest, he was born 5 months after the assassination of his father. And so that carte de vista of Emma Smith, she's holding that baby David Hiram. So I think here he's about 8 years old. He's a little boy. But yeah, they talk about David. He's a mild, studious, just passionately fond of drawing. So he's really bonding with the family. Never so happy as when he has a pencil and paper in his hand. The other two boys who I saw were very fine, strong, healthy, da da da. And so he has to be spending quite a lot of time to sit there and draw and bond with her. And so even though it's not a life drawing, other people say that they saw the daguerreotype and drew it, and he didn't say that, but it's really ironic how well this matches. So he did have opportunity, and maybe got into the good graces of M.S. Smith, and maybe saw that picture. I think the history of his work is really interesting. And so yeah, my image, to me, I know it's real. I've included this picture on my website where you can see more of the details, where I just took a camera and you can see the paper fibers, and you can see how it's put on there. But yeah, either way, I have to get it scientifically analyzed, so I'm going to go ahead and pull up a store, which I can do with the group that I've been able to format my website on. And so I could maybe sell some of this and maybe just some of my own artwork, and then hopefully I can make some money, because I just don't have $1,000 extra, and then travel, because this person's not super close to me. But I just want to go over just a few things. As far as what we know of people that drew him from life, we got Sutcliffe Maudsley, Benjamin West, who was not a member of the church, and then Rogers. And so Maudsley really, and then this was from in like a very early 1840 version of the Book of Mormon. So we do know that he started drawing him in 1842 for the map, but it's interesting, you can see, and he rarely deviates too much, but I can see these features in my picture personally when I'm looking at it. So I see so many similarities. Of course, his hair is combed forward, but seeing these lines on the side of his face. Coming around, these really long eyelashes. You can, if you look at my picture really up close, you can tell this guy has really long eyelashes, and people did comment about that. I especially like analyzing that one to this one because there's so much contrast. You can really see a lot more of just how you have these angles. And then this is, excuse me, the Martyrs, where you can see that similar jacket, or the upper part of the lapel just matches really well. This is pretty pixelated there. But you are seeing this receding hairline and how there's not a ton of hair on one side of his head. Just let me keep going through. These are more from Maudsley. And so sometimes his work varied. Sometimes, like, this looks quite a bit different than that other image, but it's the same artist. And you start getting to some of these from LDS.org. That looks pretty typical, pretty typical. Well, then you get to this one. This is still Maudsley, but he looks so different. But you can see he's missing a lot of hair on the side of his head. I mean, a lot of men will lose the hair on the top, but you can see it, that bald spot that Levi Hancock talked about really probably was the side of his head, and so he's brushing his hair forward, trying to hide it, but he looks so much older here. And just that length, there's quite a bit of distance, which you notice that between the nose and the lips, which in the picture that we think is most likely done by David Rogers. You know, so how do we know that Maudsley drew him? Let's get to June. Here you go. It's June 16th. This is sorry, the 25th of June, 1842. He's set for a drawing of his profile, which they say was by Maudsley. So June 1842, he's having Maudsley draw him. And so that's, you know, it's why he kept doing these drawings, many of them in his military outfit. And so someone sent me this and said, well, his eyebrows look round and yours look straight. It just looks straight. That can't be Joseph, because his eyebrows look straight. And his ears look small, according to Maudsley, and does all this stuff. But so David Rogers, he was 3 months after is when he shows up here in his journals, but he's the 16th of September 1842. So again, this is June 1842. Maudsley is drawing him with not a lot of hair. And then you've got the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th through the 20th. So really, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just, yeah. It's a lot of days where he's spending a lot of time on this artwork. And so it does seem from a lot of accounts, if you look at the scholarly article, that this is David Rogers, but then Brigham Young is stating that he thinks, a lot of people are stating they think this is David Rogers. And so you are seeing hair kind of popped up a little bit, but he's missing hair. His hair follicles, let me find a really high resolution copy of this. I know I found one. There it is. From the internet. Like, where does his hair start? Right there. You don't see that in this picture. And so this looks more consistent with his hairline and the features that you're seeing many of them Maudsley is doing. Maudsley never draws him with this hairstyle, ever. Maudsley drew him more than anyone from life. They were friends. Joseph was very patient and just let him keep drawing him. So his hair starts about here, and it's just coming forward and laying on the top of his head. That's not happening here. Hair's going the opposite direction, going straight back. So oh well. But as far as like similarities between my picture, I definitely see some. Again, that's a low resolution copy there, but you know, you're just sort of noticing that little swoop. You really, really see that in the picture, and how he never has sideburns. It's always just brushed forward. And so the eBay seller, another reason why I don't think that he created this, I mean, I might just pop in some of our emails, but and just hide his name, but he didn't know who this was. He said, yeah, I thought it was Joseph Smith, I just don't know. But he still acknowledged it came from the Smith Family album. He sold me one of the two that were left from the Smith Family album. Like, how many Smiths lived, and this is an 1860s Carta de Vista, lived in Kendall County in the 1860s? Well, Joseph Smith III and his brothers. Okay, so that's how strong this case is. It's very strong. So, like, not even a decade after Joseph Smith died, people are saying this is David Rogers right here. But maybe he did a profile and then just spent, you know, 4 or 5 days. Maybe he did more than one. Maybe he did a forward-facing one as well. And it's kind of comical. It's interesting to read all those details in the scholarly article, how Joseph was really depressed and stuff. But if you watch my last video, anatomically speaking, like, this nose is just, it should be up there. Like, there are just locations of where people's eyes and nose, nostrils, mouth, and chin land. It's, you know, there's variations a little bit, but not so much that it's just not anatomically correct. And so the photos that match this perfectly and just vary slightly with the hair and how close the eyes are together, you know, there wasn't a photographer there. So the photographer, Lucian Foster, I think I have the journal entry here. There we go. Lucian Foster was in New York until April 1844. But he still got April, May, June, July. So April, May, June. So he's got like 3-4 months that he could have taken Joseph Smith's photograph. And he is, so he's in his journal and says that he gives him a gold pencil. And maybe he's been there longer. I don't know. But Lucian Foster is who Joseph Smith III mentions as having taken his father's picture. And so I'm just going to kind of end it there. Let you know I'm going to go ahead and put a store on my website. And so if you want to help me out, I mean, you could do Patreon. I don't know that much about Patreon. I thought I would try it out. No one seems interested in that, which is fine. If you want to try that, I guess it's like a monthly amount, but I guess that's kind of annoying. So I don't know. Whatever. It's not like I'm making really amazing, wonderful videos every week that, you know, I'm so famous you'll want to know only some things I'll put on Patreon. I don't totally get it. So we'll just kind of, I'll keep it, but just, I'm not going to push Patreon. But if you want to contribute like maybe $20, I will send you a really nice poster of Joseph Smith, which I'll talk about on my Instagram. So most of my real supporters tend to be on Instagram, which I really appreciate. I know I don't have that many, but the people I have talked to, it's been, and that are supportive. I've talked to some amazing people. So it's okay if you don't see. It's okay if you just can't handle that. You think maybe he looks too old or balding. I tend to find that people who are not members of the church are a lot more open-minded, whereas members just really go, no, 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 we can't. No, Joseph couldn't have been bald. That's just more. That's just going to drag him down. But to me, I'm like, look at those eyes and look at the kindness in his face. And then you should look at some pictures of some of his foes that, really the accusations towards him and Chauncey Higby. I mean, there are massive numbers of women saying Chauncey Higby was just a horrible, horrible guy. But I won't totally go into that. But I've seen a picture of him, and wow, yeah, you can see that there's a lot more kindness and goodness in his face than in Chauncey Higby's face. And yeah, he stormed the jail and was with the group that killed him. And yeah, he didn't want to be outed for being a really bad guy, basically. But yeah, I'll just end the video here and go ahead and subscribe. And if you want to help out, $20, like if everyone that follows me on Instagram bought a poster, I'd be close to being able to afford to just go get this tested and just move along and hopefully, like, get something official out there to the world.